Howdy, howdy, Venom here from Venom Custom Brickworks, and today I'm going to be showing you how to assemble and paint your K2-S0 security droid from the Empire. You can buy your own kit with the link in the description, or flashing on screen right now. Grab it before they're gone. We don't know when they'll be in stock, so grab them while you can. And you can skip to right here and right here to see just the tutorial of assembly, or if you want to see us paint it. So sit back and enjoy, and let's get started. Alrighty, so this is the kit you would be receiving in question. I mean, it's pretty basic. Comes unpainted, of course. Now to paint it, I actually assembled mine first, which I'll actually show you guys here just now. So this is my painted version. It's very, very beautiful. It looks a little rough on the metallic because the metallic paint is a little rough. It's not very nice to me. Hopefully soon we'll have some decals coming out for the shoulders, so if you guys want the Imperial logos, you don't have to hand paint them. I am waiting on some stuff to come in the mail to properly do that, so I'll keep you guys posted on that. But on to assembly. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and kind of null it out, as Adam Savage always says it. Just kind of get everything where we want it and kind of see, okay, where are all the parts, make sure we have everything. If you do end up missing an item in your order, please don't hesitate to contact us, assistance.venomcbw@gmail.com, and I'll get you sorted. So this is the torso right here. Should be pretty clean and free of any imperfections. Any imperfection to be right here and right at this edge right here. A little bit of sandpaper will knock it away, or even X-Acto knife for all that matter. Again, should be free of most issues. So what I did first was I actually inserted the shoulders first. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we're going to want to go completely just right against where the ball joint goes in. And we're holding it right at the very edge of the arm and giving it a little bit of pressure, just slowly wiggling it in. There we go. All right, so it's in. Here, it's a little loose, but it should hold its own. After a little something here in a second. And then the shoulder, doing the same thing where we're holding it very close to the edge of the arm. There we go. Shoulders are now in, and then we're going to go ahead and do the lower arms. Make sure there's no imperfections. There shouldn't be any, but that doesn't mean there isn't. At any pieces right here where this tab is, because the tab will be going in right here. And what I'm doing is I'm just slowly wiggling it down, like so. Ta-da. So the arm is in. These are identical arms. They're not mirror images of they're not mirror images of each other. Yep. So you can flip them over, and they'll be the exact same thing on both sides. So you don't have to worry about that getting them confused. Next, I'm gonna do the legs. So I'm gonna pull the arms out. And then gonna go straight into it like so. The ball joint's completely straight going in. We're not doing this at a weird angle. The only angle you should have it at is the leg, where you want the ball joint going in straight. If you follow, there we go. Leg is in. Then we're gonna go ahead and do the other one, doing the same process. Slowly, there we go. And then we can go ahead and do the legs. Trying to support this insert piece, there we go, that's tabbing into, because I've had times where it has snapped off in other items, so just being careful, being very mindful of the pressure you're putting on it does make a difference. Ta-da! Alrighty, and then onto the head. Now that the rest of it's almost all completely assembled. Again, the ball joint's going just straight into with the socket. You're not worrying about the positioning of the head itself. You're worrying about the positioning of where the ball joint is. And it's in. Alrighty, and he looks like a little ragdoll right now. It's because sometimes it's a little loose, it's a little tight. We're talking about just fractions of the length of a paper that can cause this. So what I'm going to do and show you guys, if your droid for some reason is this loose, which I actually haven't had issues until now, which is kind of odd. The other one was fine. The head's a little loose, but he's a little bobbly head. We're going to get your paint of choice, so whatever you're base coating your figure with. I'm actually going to be painting this with some black. So I got my handy dandy Americana black. It doesn't really matter what brand you got. You can use Apple Barrel, you can use any store-bought brand. Like, look, this is pretty cheap. $5 for all of this, and this is bigger than a normal size. So this is a normal size thing, and yeah, so you don't need this much, but I go through black. So like this is only what? This one doesn't have a sticker on it, but it's like $1 maybe. Depending on where you get your stuff from. I mean, you can get it from Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, or any hobby store in particular. So, using my palette right here so I can throw it away and not make a huge mess. And I'm going to be using a nice thick brush. Don't really... only reason I'm using a thicker brush is to kind of goop it on there. So, what I'm going to do... I don't want a ton of paint on here, but I want some. What I'm doing is I'm just jabbing at it here, and I'm kind of just moving the head around. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to like move the head around a little bit so the paint gets everywhere in that little crevice. Now this is an alternative route. You could use a little bit of glue instead, as shown in my B1 Battle Droid tutorial. If you haven't seen that, highly recommend it. And you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about as far as like a loose head goes. But this is my alternative method, where the paint kind of adds an extra, what is very minimal, but it adds a little bit of extra squeeze or tension where the ball joints go. I'm going to do the same thing on all the other ball joints. And I'm doing this assembled because that way the ball joint can get it everywhere. And so there's a chance that it might get a little sticky and kind of stuck. I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but what you want is you do want this head to get, once it dries, to get a little bit more friction. That's kind of the point of this. So again, I'm kind of moving it around. And I'm going to try to let this sit. And I'm just going to keep on painting this actually. So you guys can kind of tell I'm just spitballing this right here. I'm just, kind of just painting it all over. Now, alternatively to this, you could completely airbrush this, but for the purpose of demonstration, I'm showing you guys how to do it with a brush, which honestly doesn't take you all that long either. But you gotta be more careful about not leaving any drops. Now, if you're using a thicker paint where it seems like it's just globbing on there and it's looking all runny, or not runny, goopy, and it's drying real fast, you might want to consider diluting your paints a little bit with some water. And it doesn't have to be any special water, just a little bit of tap water. A couple drops to kind of thin it out. Make sure it's not as thick. This one, it's usually fine. This does dry faster since this paint's not diluted. But usually it ends up being fine. So I'm going to go back and check on the head. So the head has a little bit more tension. It's still drying, but it's much better now. And when you seal it, it'll be much better, and like the paint won't rub away as easily. But you can kind of see on this one, I use the same method with this droid, and you can kind of see how the head just stays in place a lot better. And same with the joints over here. These are much more stiff because I actually coated these in some paint, but you get the general idea. And if you really need to, you can use a little bit of blue tack, but usually I don't have an issue. So a little bit of blue tack, or maybe even a little bit of glue. Completely up to you. You guys can go watch that video and kind of see how I made it. But for the purpose of the demonstration here, this is exactly how I did it before. And occasionally, depending on how the paint was introduced to the joints, I might come back and do like a second coat. But this is the least harmful way of thickening up those joints. Again, it's such a small thickness, and because these aren't these aren't injection molded like Lego stuff, like official Lego, then the tightness won't actually be like just 100% accurate every single time. It'll be darn close, especially for 3D printing. I have all my machines tuned to some of the best settings to get the best level of friction and get everything as close as you can, but it's never going to be perfect, unfortunately, until we get to injection molding, and we're still a little bit of ways. So you can kind of see he's starting to hold his own now, still drying, of course. You can kind of see it's a little glossy still there at that neck, but it's much drier at the front. So I might come back and add a second coat, but we're going to keep on painting while it does its thing. You don't need a nice brush. You don't need to spin a lot. Just kind of just getting it everywhere. Don't have to be pretty about it. You know, just do little thin coats. This black paint just goes on super thick regardless. So you can kind of see how tough the joints are. Like even at the legs, this one's super tight for whatever reason. This one's a little loose. So there's many ways to go about fixing it. But there's also, I mean, you know, a high chance that you might have actually gotten a perfect print. Who knows? You may not be having this issue like I am. And so maybe enjoying this video is a little something different for you. For all the haters out there that are like, oh, it's not Lego, oh, it's broken, why are you selling us this broken thing if you know it's not going to work? Well, what's the better end of the deal? Would you rather us not release this and not have this creation in the community? Because this is after a lot of prototyping and experimentation. It's not like we didn't put any effort to getting these joints 100% perfect. I mean, sure, some might be better than others, and some of these might be designed by a couple other designers, but they all have the same base model for the joints, so not much we can do about it. We care more about the people enjoying these creations and making them their own than not releasing an item because, hey, it has a slight issue with it being, you know, loose. So look at the head. It's already so much better. Looks like it might need a second coat, but yep, it's going to need a second coat. But look at it. It's not as wobbly anymore. It can kind of stay put. It's almost there. Just a little bit more paint, and I think it'll be good. Again, I'm just being very careful. I'm not scraping it. I'm not, you know, being excessively rough. And it's just kind of holding its place. So I'm going to keep on doing my thing. Alrighty, so I have the droid mostly done here. You can tell I have a lot of paint on my hands, but I mean, it happens with this stuff. So he's done for the most part. He's still drying in a couple of spots, but the head is so much better. Look at it, it's not wobbling. And if I did give it a little shake test, it don't move. This side that we started on and I kind of was talking through is now perfectly ready and good to go. The arm joint here, I mean, most of these joints are usually really fine. It's the ball joints that usually have issues. They're done. I'm noticing a couple spots, so there's still the gray base showing, but that's not the end of the world. I layered out some more paint on the head. I think I kind of said it's much better now. I think I did 2 coats, maybe it was 3, I can't remember, but it's done. It's much better now. Probably could use another one, but I'm not going to bother. And I added some more paint to this joint here, some more to this joint up here. I kind of just glopped it in there because you're not going to be able to see it all that much, so whatever's there, I mean, nobody's going to see, so. But this kind of gets you a good sense of what the droid looks like with, if you didn't airbrush it. Now, for my K2-S0 that I painted earlier, if I can stand, one thing about him being so tall is he's a little bit of a pain to pose and get right, because he's so tall. Stay. There we go. He has a weird position now. But it's a two-tone. Just uses silver and the black. Nothing much more than that. Oh, and also uses the bronze for the edges, but you can't, I mean, you can kind of sort of see it on the very edge. I'd use some Testors enamel paints. So this is Testors. They are $1.99. But you can, I'll probably get, 30, 40, 50 droids out of it before I ever ran out. So, I mean, you'll have those and have them forever. It's not like you're going to use it explicitly for this and then run out. So again, super simple. What I used here was a smaller brush, and I'll give you an example. So this is the brush. I believe I used this one. I can't remember if I did or not. Maybe it's a different one. To get all the details in with the silver, make sure you're going to wash out the brush when you're done with some sort of enamel thinner. So these are enamel paints that I use for the silver and the bronze. So make sure you're using some thinner to clean your brushes off when you're done. Otherwise, you'll have to throw them away when you're done, and it's not fun. But if you're using acrylics like the paint I showed you earlier, the Americana, just use some water to rinse off your brushes, and then they'll be good to go. It's super easy. And I think the only thing that I didn't use a paintbrush for was probably a toothpick for the eyes because of how small they are. Now I think I did use a brush to kind of get the silver in, but then for the black dots for his pupils, I believe I used a whittled down toothpick, and I'll show you right now how I did that. So I got a safety knife or X-Acto knife, whatever you prefer, and I'm just cutting off the very edge. And I'm making a very sharp point right at the end. So it's super small, smaller than a regular toothpick. And that's what I used to do the eyes. I literally just dipped it once, kind of figure out where I wanted it, doot, done. So that's exactly what I did. Let's do it together. Quick little note for silver paints and enamel paints is make sure you shake them really, really good. Otherwise, they might be clumps at the bottom that you got to mix in. So open the cap open, get a toothpick, kind of mix it around, and kind of get it. Alrighty, so here is K2, all done. Not 100% sure. I'm sure it's the size of the pupils, but the new one looks a little uncanny, so it's a little weird. But here's the finished version without the bronze. I'm going to leave the bronze out on this one. But yeah, all done. I'm going to seal them up. But you guys can see the beginning to end. His head stays put. Actually, I'll show his shoulders stay put. His legs mostly stay put. They're a little loose, but that's just the nature of legs. So thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate each and every one of y'all as always. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thanks, Fangs. Y'all have a great day.